everybody we're about? Testing. Guys, we're about 5 minutes out from the Secretary being here. I'll have a mic for questions. If you feel like you need one, I'll be standing right here for it. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? If you're here for the USDOT conference, the Secretary is about 5 minutes out. I'll have a mic for questions if you feel like you need one on this side. Thanks. Secretary's walking in, by the way.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sean Duffy here. I'm with Nick Daniels. He is the president of NATCA, the union that represents our air traffic controllers. As you all know, we're going through a shutdown right now, and in that shutdown, government employees don't get paid. And what I think is critical, especially for us at DOT, is that our air traffic controllers aren't going to get paid during the shutdown. And so just to give you guys a little history, they were paid about 10 days ago. And in that paycheck, they got 90% of their pay because most of that pay period fell into September. But they just got notice yesterday on what their pay is going to be for this coming Tuesday. And they got notice that their paycheck is going to be a big fat zero. And so as I've traveled around to talk to the controllers, there's great frustration. There's anxiety because as any one of you look at the expectation that a paycheck comes in, and then you plan for that, and you pay your mortgage, you pay your car payment, you put food on the table. As these controllers come to work, they have to pay for babysitters, child care. There's a whole host of bills that Americans have that they anticipate that paycheck is going to come in so they can meet those bills. And the stress level that our controllers are under right now, I think, is unacceptable. Now, I want to be clear, there'll be a question about, is the system safe? And I would say yes, it is safe, because if we don't have enough controllers, if we have controllers that are more stressed and less able to do the job, we pay close attention to that, and we will reduce the capacity of airplanes taking off and landing, or we will cancel flights. And so you can and very well may see delays in the system, but that's because our priority is you getting from point A to point B and getting there safely. I'm less concerned about you getting there on time. I want you to be safe. And so as we have seen over the course of the shutdown, what we're day 23, 24, we've had different areas of the airspace, different TRACON centers and towers that have had staffing shortages, and then in certain regions of the country, we've seen delays. And it's not been one place, it's been moving throughout the airspace. I've asked our controllers, please show up for work. And those who do show up for work, I thank them. They're great American patriots who come to work every single day knowing that they don't have a paycheck going into their bank account, even though they're providing critical services to the American economy. So I thank them for coming to work, and I encourage them to continue to come to work as we navigate the shutdown. I do think there's a frustration with our controllers that Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, they're all going to get their paychecks, while these men and women who control our skies aren't going to be paid because of the shutdown. I think there's also a frustration that the shutdown is about paying for health care benefits for illegal immigrants. I think our controllers, who again are great Americans, want their Congress to focus on America and Americans, and are asking the question, why is the Congress, why are Senate Democrats focused on health care benefits for illegals? Maybe focus on me and my paycheck and the services that I provide. Open up the government, negotiate, have a conversation, but don't hold them, their paychecks, their families hostage so you can give benefits to illegal migrants. I think that truly is an overarching concern and theme, and I appreciate that NACA doesn't get political. They don't. But what I think you will hear from Nick is they're asking for the government to open. They're asking for everyone to come together, make sure they all get paid, and then take the time to have conversations, to negotiate. But the answer is never shut down the government. The answer is open the government and then have a dialogue, come to resolution. Try that approach before you actually shut it down and affect people's travel. By the way, I'm also concerned as we're coming into holiday season, we have more people using our airspace, more people taking flights. And when that happens and they see more delays, I want to make sure every American knows I've done all I can by modernizing the airspace, making sure we have more air traffic controllers. But if you're seeing an increase in shutdowns right now, or delays, not shutdowns, more delays, more cancellations, it is because the Democrats won't open the government back up. Before I turn it over to Nick, I want to mention one last thing. Many of you have reported on the fact that we don't have enough air traffic controllers. We're about 2,000 to 3,000 air traffic controllers short in the system. And I have developed a plan to supercharge air traffic controllers, get more of them into the system. It's going to take, a couple years.
For assistance, please visit a ground transportation counter located in each of the baggage claim areas. We want you to be safe.
We do want you to be safe, and the PA system does work at the airport. But we're supercharging air traffic controllers, bringing the best and the brightest, per the direction of President Trump, into this great profession. It takes time to do that. The academy takes time. Then once they're out in one of the facilities, it takes anywhere from 1, 2, sometimes 3 years to get trained up. And so we're getting word back right now from our academy in Oklahoma City that some of our young controllers in the academy, and some who have been given spots in the next class of the academy, are bailing. They're walking away. They're asking themselves, why do I want to go into a profession where I could work hard and have the potential of not being paid for my services? And so we're seeing that real consequence right now. That affects my ability to continue this surge and get more people, more young, well-trained controllers into our system. And so I want to lay out what's happening, make sure America knows what the consequences are for a foolish shutdown on behalf of illegals, because it has impacts on the traveling public's life as they see more delays in the system. I find that to be unacceptable. I have more value for our controllers that I think we're seeing from the Congress. And again, I would ask our controllers to show up for work, and I would ask Democrats in the Senate to have a vote, open up the government, and then sit down and have a conversation and negotiate. And with that, I'm going to turn over to the chair of NACA, Nick Daniels, who is, again, we don't agree on everything, but we've been good partners just in the sense of trying to take care of the controllers who work so hard on our airspace. So Nick Daniels.
So good afternoon. I am Nick Daniels. I'm the proud president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. America's air traffic controllers, we didn't ask to be the focus of this shutdown. Yet, every day, we're carrying the full weight. Every single day, we move over 45,000 aircraft, 3 million passengers. We move tons of cargo that keeps America running, protecting the national airspace system, and even more importantly, people's lives. They're showing up every single day under immense stress, under uncertainty, having to stay focused on performing the day in and day out tasks. And every day that this shutdown drags on with no clear end sight, this affects their focus. And our job as air traffic controllers is to mitigate risk, and it's also to call it out. Air traffic controllers, our job is to communicate for the safety of the flying public. And as this shutdown continues and air traffic controllers are not paid for the vital work that they do day in and day out, that leads to an unnecessary distraction. And they cannot be 100% focused on their jobs, which makes this system less safe every day that this shutdown continues. Tomorrow will be less safe than today. And as the Secretary said, now we have to figure out how to mitigate that to ensure the safety of every passenger and every plane that flies in our skies. There is no version of this scenario that we have been forced into where an American worker can work 6 days a week, 10 hours in a day, only have 4 days off in a month, and have to deal with their greatest priority, which is taking care of their family, to provide for them, to put gas in a car, to put food on a table, to ensure their kids have shelter, or that they have a level of care while they do go and do the very important job of being an air traffic controller and running America's skies. And the calls have already begun. Air traffic controllers have called and said, I've picked up a side job. I go to my primary job on a day, an evening, or a midnight shift. And when I complete that shift, I now go to a secondary job. I'm driving for Uber. I'm doing DoorDash. I'm doing Instacart. This job is hard enough 5 days a week. We do it 6. We make the impossible look possible every single day. But now, with this shutdown, we're making the impossible impossible for people to continue to live without money. So some of our lowest paid air traffic controllers in this system, whether they're new or they live paycheck to paycheck just like every other American worker. They will instead be focusing instead of focusing on the safety of the American flying public, they're now focusing on what they can't afford to pay. So as each day passes with this shutdown, more of this nation's air traffic controllers will feel more stress. They'll feel more pressure. And it's the opposite of what they should be focused on. We should be focused on how do we move forward, the cusp of taking care of one another. So air traffic controllers, we didn't start a shutdown. We don't end a shutdown. Our elected officials do. And our message is simple. End the shutdown today.
So we'll take questions in a moment, but just when I was talking to the guys in the break room, they're eating in the break room, and they made sure I knew that the food that they were eating had come from the airlines. The airlines know how important air traffic control is to keeping the sky safe and airplanes moving. And so our airlines, who know the financial pressure that our controllers are under and the gratitude for them showing up, they're buying them food. We shouldn't rely on airlines to have to buy lunch and dinner for our controllers because they can't afford it themselves because the Democrats have shut down the government. But those are the things that are happening inside of all of us who work in the airspace, supporting our fellow brothers and sisters who are going through a time of need. And I want to thank the airlines for recognizing that and supporting and being helpful in the small ways that they can. Again, just providing food for our controllers when they're on the job. With that, if you guys have any questions for us, happy to take them, yes. So the question is, how many delays have been in relationship to air traffic controller shortages? And so it's different every day. So the average on a day is about 5% of our delays would come from staffing shortages with air traffic controllers. We've gone up as high as 53% of the delays have been because of staffing shortages. And that number moves every single day. Because as I mentioned before, we don't have one facility that's a problem every single day. It might be short one day, but then, it might be Chicago one day, it might be Atlanta another, it might be Newark a different day. And so it changes day by day, and so it's anywhere between that 5%, we're always been above the 5% in the shutdown, but as high as 53% of delays are from the staffing shortages. Yes? I don't have insight into the hearts and minds of the controllers who are calling out sick, but if I listen to the controllers who talk to me, they'll tell me about their own stresses, financial, and how they have to take a second job, how they're frustrated that they're not going to get paid, and some of them might be sick. But I'm working close with Nick. We're driving a message. I want you to show up. I don't want to see Democrat shutdowns drive pain to the American people. I've asked them, please come to work, and I'm grateful for you to come to work. But maybe that'll be a post-mortem we can do on what happened there and why controllers made the choices that they did.
Mr. Secretary,
Yeah, so this is a Philly issue. I am concerned about SEPTA. When you have a system that's $200 million in the hole, we see delays, but do we see fires? That's a huge problem, right? On trains and on buses. And what's more concerning is that when you have a fire, we all know what a fire is, but the management will say it is a thermal event. What the hell is a thermal event? It's called a fire. So let's not try to massage what's happening. I've had good interactions with the governor. I've asked the governor to step up and lead, to fix the system, to provide the leadership and the money and the resources and the management to make sure that this system is fully operational and safe for the traveling public. You can't get on a train or a bus and have a fire. That is a flashing light and a siren that significant changes need to be made. So I'm not going to front run what happens next, but again, I don't want to talk about consequences. I want to talk about action. I want trains to be safe and to run on time. That's what I want. And if those emergency inspections don't pass, we'll talk about what comes next. So we don't manage your rail. We support, we provide assistance, but Philadelphia leadership, the state leadership has to step in. And by the way, the city works well because you have a system that can move people effectively and efficiently through the community. That's really important. And to make sure it's fully operational and well run is important to us. And we provide oversight, we provide tools, we also provide money. And so, again, what I want to see is the state and the city work together with us to have a plan to fix this system, and that takes engagement, that takes leadership. And so I hope to see that from the city and the governor. And if they're willing to do that, we're going to work with them. Because what I want is, I want a great system for Philadelphia. I mean, that's what I want. And if I can be helpful, I will. If I get resistance, we can be great friends or we can be really bad enemies. I think we should be in the friend business and serve in this community.
Mr. Secretary, Justin Neal from KYW News Radio, you spoke very eloquently earlier about members of Congress and the Senate still getting their paychecks during this time. Are you still getting yours during this time? And if so, do you plan on stopping to stand in solidarity with workers like the workers that aren't being paid now?
Well, so it's a good point. Our workers are going to work. We have furloughed employees that don't come to work, but we have essential services that are provided by people like our air traffic controllers. Those who are working on our modernization effort for air traffic control, it's those people who we've asked to come in and continue that work, because my concern is if there are delays that happen because of the shutdown, 6 months from now, no one remembers that we have delays because of a shutdown. They just think I'm delayed, right? We're not moving on the right timeline. So I've asked those critical talent to come in and help us move the ball forward, whether it's air traffic controllers or it's within the FAA, to continue the progress in how we're going to have, in a 3-year time period, build a brand new air traffic control system. I can't give up 24 days. I can't give up a month. I don't know how long this is going to go. It could be a month and a half. I can't give that time up. And so,
with your pay, are you still being paid? If so, do you plan on stopping your pay during this time to stand in solidarity with workers?
I would have no problem stopping my pay. By the way, I don't even know if I get paid or not. In Congress, we did, and that was a huge problem. And we dealt with that because first of all, the concept of saying if you're part of government, and especially the Congress, especially the Democrats who aren't funding the government, I never thought it was appropriate that you get paid while the rest of the government does not. Now, if there's back pay, like air traffic controllers, they show up for work, they're going to get paid one day. Those members of Congress, they show up every day, they're going to get paid, but they should be delayed just like everybody else.
So you're saying you would take the delay in your pay?
Yeah, I would have no problem doing that, yes.
How concerned are you, Dave Shepard, how concerned are you about funding running out for the academy, for training in the towers, and how much do you think we're going to see a big increase in staff outages as that first paycheck gets missed? Is there any evidence so far that controllers have engaged in improper sick outs today?
So just back to the academy, we're working on the numbers right now. So we pay our students in the academy. They get paid to go to the 4-month school. They're not paid a lot, but they're paid so they can buy food and get to the academy. We help them with their housing. We're about a week to 2 weeks away from running out of money to pay those students, which will be cataclysmic for them. Our instructors already are not paid, and they're still showing up to teach. But again, the disruption that this causes, I've already seen young people drop out of the academy because they're concerned about going into a business where they may not get their funding. And so it's my job to let everyone know these are the consequences of the shutdown. And by the way, what's not partisan is the fact that we need a new system. It's not partisan that we need more controllers. So we're going to continue that work, but it's important to tell everybody this is the hardship that we're under right now because of the shutdown, and it will not be consequence-free in regard to the pipeline that I have in bringing controllers in.
There's a lot of concern this weekend we could start to see really serious disruptions. Obviously, yesterday was 6.6%, but are you concerned to get that first paycheck that this could be?
So I think it's a great question. I can't project what's going to happen with our air traffic controllers. I have told them to show up for work, to do their jobs. Nick has told them to show up for work and do their jobs. But I've also heard about the hardship on finding a second job when they already work, many of them 6 days a week as air traffic controllers. I've heard about gas. I've heard about childcare. I've heard about mortgages. I mean, we all look at each other and say, who can go without pay? How does that happen and work for them? And no doubt that puts pressure on their lives, their families, and so I hope that's not the case. I don't want to see any pressure applied to this shutdown because of air traffic controllers. But I can't predict the future. I know they're frustrated, I know they're angry, and I know they want their Congress to think about them and not illegals. I can take one more question. Did anyone else know? You can go again. Have awarded what? So just looking at kind of how the DOT functions, a lot of the money for the projects that we fund, that money is pre-funded. So when you have a shutdown, I already have the money in the door that's allowing me to continue with projects. Now, one of the issues is if I have staffing problems, that can impact my ability to get money out the door. And so it's not that the money's not there, it's that I don't have the staff in place because they've been furloughed to actually execute the agreements or do the oversight that's necessary by federal law for these projects. And so that can be an issue, but much of this has been pre-funded. Just on our air traffic control modernization, we got $12.5 billion in the big, beautiful bill. I need $31.5 in total. But we got a lot of that money up front, which is why we're able to continue to push forward in the modernization effort to make sure we have a brand new air traffic control system in this country. With that, everyone, I want to thank you for coming out. I appreciate you covering the great men and women who keep your skies safe. They keep your planes on time. They do yeoman's work, and so thank you for covering them. And I want to thank also our controllers one last time for their great work. We're grateful for that at DOT, at FAA, and I know America is as well. Thank you.